I just spent 6 weeks carrying 5 Honor phones everywhere I go. To work, on a flight to Tokyo, through a rainstorm, into a pitch-black concert venue. And I need to tell you something that's going to make a lot of Samsung and Apple fans extremely uncomfortable. Honor is not the underdog brand you remember from 5 years ago. They are quietly building some of the most impressive hardware in the smartphone industry right now, and the mainstream tech press is almost completely ignoring them. That ends today, because here's what nobody's telling you. The number 2 phone on this list beats the Galaxy S25 Ultra in 3 critical real-world categories. The number 3 phone is destroying mid-range competitors from brands you trust without question. And the number 1 phone, the one I've been reaching for every single morning for 6 weeks straight, does something with its camera system that genuinely made me question whether I needed a dedicated camera anymore. I'm going to rank these from 5 to 1, tell you exactly who each phone is for, and give you the honest flaws that reviewers on the payroll won't mention. Let's get into it. Number 5, the Honor Magic 8 Lite. The best budget phone most people have never heard of. Let's be real about what this phone is. It's not trying to compete with flagships. It's not pretending to be something it isn't. The Honor Magic 8 Lite knows exactly what it is. The best phone you can buy for people who don't want to spend flagship money but refuse to carry garbage. The 6.7-inch AMOLED display hits 120 Hz, and it genuinely looks better than displays on phones that cost twice as much. I compared it side by side against a mid-range Samsung at the same price point, and the difference in color accuracy and brightness was not subtle. You'll notice it immediately. The Snapdragon 6 Gen 4 paired with 8 GB of RAM handles everything you actually do on a phone. Social media, streaming, casual gaming, navigation. Does it choke on Genshin Impact at ultra settings? Yes. Does it handle the way 90% of phone owners actually use their devices? Absolutely. Battery life is where this phone quietly shocks people. You're getting a 5,800 mAh cell that will get most users through a full day and a half on a single charge. I went 38 hours without plugging in during a travel day that included maps, music, 4 hours of video, and a 2-hour video call. That is not budget phone behavior. The cameras are decent. Not remarkable, but decent. The main 108-megapixel sensor captures plenty of detail in daylight. Low light is where you feel the budget compromise, and I won't pretend otherwise. But at this price, the overall package is genuinely hard to argue with. If someone you know is still on a 4-year-old phone because they can't justify flagship prices, this is the answer you've been looking for. Around $280. Buy it. Number 4, the Honor Magic V5, the foldable that finally got everything right. Foldables have had an image problem. They've been too heavy, too fragile, too expensive, and the software experience always felt like it was built as an afterthought. Honor looked at every single one of those complaints and systematically addressed them. At 226 grams, the Magic 5 is one of the lightest foldables on the market. I carried it in my shirt pocket for 3 weeks and genuinely forgot it was there. That sounds like marketing language until you've tried holding a competing foldable for the same amount of time. The crease. Let's talk about it, because this is what everyone wants to know. It's there. I'm not going to lie to you and say you can't see it, but Honor has gotten it to the point where during normal use, watching video, reading, browsing, you stop noticing it within 48 hours. It's not the distraction it was on first-generation foldables. The cover screen is fully usable, 6.4 inches with a proper aspect ratio that doesn't make you feel like you're squinting at a receipt. I used the cover screen as my primary display for an entire afternoon without touching the inner screen, and it held up completely. The hinge mechanism has a satisfying premium feel that tells you something about the engineering investment Honor put into this device. It doesn't wobble. It doesn't creak. It snaps into positions and stays there. Battery life on a foldable is always a concern because you're powering 2 displays. Honor fitted this with a dual-cell 5,150 mAh battery with 66-watt fast charging. Real-world use gets you through a full day with moderate to heavy use. Heavy multitasking with the large screen open will push you to reach for a charger by evening, but that's the reality of the form factor, and Honor is transparent about it, starting around $1,100. For a foldable that actually works as a daily driver, that's legitimately competitive. Number 3, the Honor 400 Pro, the mid-range phone that has no business being this good. Here's where things get interesting. The Honor 400 Pro is the phone on this list that confused me the most during testing, and I mean that as a compliment. It's priced like a mid-range phone. It performs like a flagship, and the camera system on this thing made me put down my personal daily driver for 4 days straight because I wanted to see what it could do. Honor partnered with Hasselblad on the imaging pipeline for the 400 Pro, and you feel it immediately. The color science is warm without being oversaturated. Portraits have a natural depth that you usually only see from $1,000 plus devices. The 200-megapixel primary sensor captures detail that I had to zoom in on my laptop screen to fully appreciate. This is not a spec sheet number. It is a genuinely meaningful capability. Video is where the 400 Pro surprised me most. The optical image stabilization handles movement in a way that made me question whether I was watching stabilized footage or gimbal footage. I filmed while walking down a cobblestone street, and the resulting clip was smooth enough to use for professional content. At this price point, that is almost unheard of. The Snapdragon 8S Gen 4 processor puts this phone firmly in flagship performance territory for processing power. 12 gigabytes of RAM means it handles multitasking without the memory management frustration that cheaper phones create when you're switching between apps constantly. The one honest limitation here is the telephoto reach. The 3x optical zoom is good but not great for the kind of serious zoom photography that the primary camera suggests you might want. If you shoot a lot of wildlife or sports from a distance, make a note of that. For everything else, the Honor 400 Pro is the easiest recommendation I have ever made in the mid-range category. Around $550. It's not an if, it's a when. Number 2. The Honor Magic 8 Pro, the 2026 flagship that Samsung should be nervous about. I want to be precise here because I know that's a bold statement, and I don't make bold statements without receipts. The Galaxy S25 Ultra has a better stylus experience. I'll give Samsung that. But in display quality, battery performance, camera versatility, and charging speed, the Honor Magic 8 Pro either matches or beats Samsung's most expensive phone, and it costs less. The display is a 6.8-inch LTPO-OLED panel with a 1 to 120 Hz variable refresh rate and 4,500 nits of peak brightness. I used this phone outdoors on a genuinely bright afternoon in direct sunlight and read my messages without shading the screen with my hand. That level of brightness is legitimately useful, not just a number on a spec sheet. The Kirin 9100 chipset is fast, real-world fast. App launches, game loads, rendering intensive content. Everything feels immediate in a way that makes you realize you've been tolerating small delays on your current phone without even registering them. Now the camera. Honor put a periscope telephoto lens on the Magic 8 Pro that delivers 10 times optical zoom with image quality I genuinely did not expect. I photographed architecture from across a city block, and the detail in the resulting image made a professional photographer friend of mine ask what camera I was using. He was not expecting the answer. The 6,000 milliamp hour battery with 100-watt wired charging and 80-watt wireless charging is the combination that changes your relationship with anxiety about battery life. 45 minutes from 0 to full. I started plugging in while I make coffee in the morning instead of overnight. That is a behavioral shift that sounds small but feels enormous in daily life. The fatal flaw? Honor's software skin, Magic OS, still has occasional quirks. Notifications can behave unexpectedly. Some third-party apps take a beat to adapt to the interface. It's not a deal-breaker, but it's real, and you should know about it going in. Around $850. It's the flagship I'd recommend to anyone who doesn't have brand loyalty pulling them elsewhere. Number 1. The Honor Magic 7 Pro, the best overall phone of 2026. I know what you're thinking. The Magic 8 Pro was just described as incredible, and now the older model is ranked above it? Let me explain, because this is the most important distinction in the entire video. The Magic 7 Pro has had a year of software updates, ecosystem maturity, and real-world refinement that the Magic 8 Pro hasn't had yet. The hardware on the Magic 7 Pro is still elite. The Snapdragon 8 Elite, 12 gigabytes of RAM, a 5,270 milliamp-hour battery with 100-watt charging. None of that has aged. What's changed is everything around the hardware. The camera system on the Magic 7 Pro has been optimized through updates to a degree that makes the out-of-box Magic 8 Pro feel like it's still catching up in some processing scenarios. Night photography on the Magic 7 Pro after a year of computational photography improvements is stunning. I shot a candlelit dinner, a street scene at 2 a.m., and a stadium event from the upper deck. Every single shot was usable. 3 of them were genuinely beautiful. The 5x periscope telephoto produces images with a natural compression and color rendering that I prefer to the 10 times on the Magic 8 Pro for portraits and street photography. More reach isn't always better. This focal length is genuinely versatile in a way that the extreme telephoto of the Magic 8 Pro isn't. And here's the thing that sealed it. After 6 weeks of testing, the Magic 7 Pro is the phone I stopped thinking about, and that is the highest compliment I can give any device. It's the phone that just works, every time, in every situation, without making you manage it or troubleshoot it or work around it. The display is gorgeous. The battery gets through the day. The cameras capture what you're actually seeing. The software has settled into something reliable. It's also now available at a significantly reduced price compared to launch. You can find it for around $700 depending on the retailer, which puts Flagship hardware from one of the best camera phones of the last 18 months in a price bracket that was previously impossible. The best phone isn't always the newest one. Sometimes it's the one that's had the time to become everything it was supposed to be.